Warning: the following content may contain elements that are not suitable for some audiences. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hey creepy, yeah that's my style. Creepy crawlers, Kimiko's vibe. We laugh at the dark, find joy in the fears. In a world full of noise, I'm the one you hear. In a smoky room, filled with gloom, hell is here, podcast doom. Podcast doom.
Hello, all you creepy crawlers. Welcome to another episode of the Blowing Smoke podcast with Kimiko Kusanagi. So today we're going to talk about something that I was, looking around on Reddit. And quite honestly, I've been wormholing into the Silent Hill 2 universe basically for a couple weeks now, and we're still going here. But I found this on Reddit, and I wanted to share it with you guys. So light up and listen in. So this comes from Mr. Sleepy Koala. All right, and this was about 5 days ago. I saw someone posting an interesting theory on Facebook. I don't know if she wanted to be credited, so I won't. Maybe this helps. Now, the significance of this is it's the when you're in playing Silent Hill 2 remake and you're running around and you keep coming across these photographs that have numbers on the very back of them, sometimes letters, but like the strange photographs is what they're called. All right, so I think I finally figured out the strange story behind the strange photos after many days of trying to understand their meaning. If my theory is true, then Bloober has added a huge hidden plot twist to the game that changes everything. And I'll explain how I came to my conclusion first. Then I'll explain how the photos actually tie in, okay? After viewing most photos in-game locations and searching around very carefully, even with the cam hack, I realized there aren't in-game clues for each photo that we have to connect like I thought. It's something entirely different. I tried searching through the game files for clues, and I found this note, which we find in Brookhaven Otherworld, about a patient's cardiectomy, which is a heart transplant, being successful. Not only it has no place in Brookhaven because it's a mental hospital, but also the file name is true ending underscore cardiectomy note underscore 01 underscore a underscore TBA. True ending. Quotations. It's known that Laura spent over a year hospitalized for an unknown reason. And that's how she met Mary. And here is my theory. Laura was hospitalized for so long because she had a heart problem. After the original game, James adopted Laura as Mary wished. Some years later, when Laura was old enough to receive a heart transplant from an adult, James donated her his heart. Now, keep in mind that James and the storyline were heavily inspired by Jacob's Ladder, in which the protagonist, Jacob Singer, is reliving his traumatic memories and hallucinating, quotation, demons throughout the entire movie. While he welcomes while he in fact is actually dying in the real world. And in the end of the movie, spoiler, he meets his dead son, who welcomes him to the quotations other side. An ID card with Jacob Singer's photo and name are also in the game files. And here is how the strange photos tie into this story. 4 months to go. 4 months left for the scheduled cardiectomy. Road trip. James and Laura are on their way to the hospital where she and Mary met. So far from home. James never returned to his hometown after the events of Silent Hill 2, as he is confirmed missing for many years in Silent Hill 4. No one knows they mustn't know. No one knows what he did to Mary, or what became of both of them. Made it. They arrived at the hospital. So many people here, observing the busy corridors, feeling nervous. Still can't get it right. Being in there in the hospital still upsets him after all these years, as a trauma response after everything that he and Mary went through. Her drawings, Laura's drawings. Children's wards in hospitals are always decorated with drawings of children who were hospitalized there, especially children who were in critical condition. They're viewing her old drawings that are still there. How time flies. James is recalling his life with Mary and how long it's been since he had met Laura. I've been happy. Further recalling his life with Mary before she got sick. Career's humble beginnings. He's recalling back when he first started trying to sort his life out, as he previously had a history of alcoholism and had been hospitalized in a mental hospital at some point before meeting Mary. Both have been confirmed. Valentine's Day, recalling his first date with Mary. Best flavor, recalling the flavor of her kiss. Church entrance, recalling the day of their wedding. They're here. The doctors and nurses are there to take both of them away for surgery. Old man is always prepared. James reassuring Laura that he has always been prepared for death so that he can once again be with Mary. Your best buddy. Although Laura couldn't see him as her own father, James became like a best friend to her who had always been there for her, and now he was ready to give his life for her. Ready to kill it. Pun intended. There's no turning back now. The new clock. Laura's new heart, as the heart is sometimes referred to as a clock. Aftermath. The empty cavity is now left in James's chest. At least she was there. He found Mary waiting for him. Better leave. It's time for both of them to, quotations, leave together. Together forever. No explanation needed. Whole world ahead of us. Everything is going dark for James as they're crossing together to the, quotations, other side. Much like Jacob's ladder, James is dying, hallucinating and recalling his traumatic memories through the entire game. And in the end, he meets the dead person he needed to see again. Also, there is a note that is found near the end of the Other World Hospital. And it doesn't make much sense. But regarding the words, but rearranging the words gives us this. Patient's diagnosis. Symptoms receding. The treatment is effective. As always, my entire personnel will become scheduled, especially for them, when they'll make recovery their aim. Meaning that Laura is already recovering in the real world as James reads that note. What are your thoughts on that? I once again, I thought it was quite interesting theory, because, you know, those photos, I couldn't figure out what the hell to do with any of that shit. But at least this gives some type of clarity, even if it's not true or not. It's a cute story and it definitely makes sense. And once again, this is from Mr. Sleepy Koala on Reddit. Let's go ahead and take a commercial break.
In a world where your life is mundane and boring, a person is about to discover the power of Kimiko merch. Our merch isn't just stuff, it's your secret weapon against boredom. Transform your day with our incredible merch. Whether you're at work, at home, or saving the world, our merch will bring a smile to your face. Get yours today and unleash your inner dork with our amazing merch. Visit us at https://my-store-f20050.creator-spring.com. Make every day a Kimiko-tastic adventure.
Okay, for the second part of this, I'm going to read letter number 2 from Scare Mail. Once again, thanks to my sister for subscribing me to this. But here's letter number 2. If you haven't read or if you haven't heard letter number 1, you should probably, I'll link it at the end. So, David, I have to admit that there's a part of me that didn't expect a response from you. I am aware that things I wrote about the things I wrote about. When I read them over, sounded like I needed to have my mental health evaluated. When I received your letter, no more than a week after mine, I was shocked, but grateful. Grateful because there is someone out there on the receiving end. And they understand where I am coming from and my fears. Or respected, or respected me enough at least, not to ignore it. I also appreciate you including a book recommendation for me. The Girl Who Loved Tom Gordon by Stephen King himself sounded like the perfect anecdote to take my mind off of what's been going on. I know you aren't accusing me of lying. That doesn't seem to fit your character. And while I too worry that exposing what I've discovered with Scare.me could open others up to the influence, I want to believe most will wait this out for a while I try to figure out the truth. I think awareness in this case is worth the risk. Things aren't that bad yet. And since we're exchanging stories, I'll share with you. I have learned one thing from studying history. It's that we as humans are slow to learn from our mistakes. Take, for instance, the irrational idea of either spelunking or cave diving. People participate in these activities just for the sake of seeing if they can do it, despite the potential for failure being death. People have been caving for a millennia, sinking low into the earth with little to no connection to the rest of the world, where the spaces are only mere feet, the oxygen low, the available light non-existent. As you can see, I've given the subject a bit of thought. And when I started to look into the history of caving, I learned about a fear I never knew I had. That's when I came across a story about the Nutty Putty Cave incident. Are you familiar with it? It's a true story of a spelunker trapped in a cave thousands of feet beneath the surface, hours suspended upside down in the dark, completely immobilized. It's a new fear for me, that's for sure. I have included some literature for you to read on. Maybe it will be a good inspiration one day. However, or anyhow, back to reality though. I'm not sure I want to be here. Today marks 2 weeks since I stumbled upon Scare.me. And I've started to notice some small, inexplicable things that I can't help feeling are connected to the site somehow. Maybe I'm just getting inside my own head, but I can't shake it. I've never noticed how much taupe there is in this museum before. Anyways, I've adapted to my new way of doing things at work pretty well. It turns out that I can do most of my job without a computer and can delegate a lot of my busy work to subcontractors the museum have on file but never use. I've got paper, a pen, and stacks of time. I rarely have to use the phone. Not that these, odd occurrences have affected my telephone, but nonetheless, I want to get comfortable not using it in the event it becomes another technological torment. How, honestly, if I were any older, I'd say that it's time for a cognitive checkup. And again, for a second time, I feel I risk you judging me as someone in the throes of a crisis versus someone who has truly contacted whatever the hell this is that I'm experiencing. Let me explain what's happening, and then perhaps you can imagine my fear the day I receive your reply. I found the photograph of my ex-wife, and I keep it on my desk. It had been smashed. Not knocked over, not broken in places, as if someone around it as if someone had hammered in the glass and put the frame back exactly where they found it. Even the dust around it hadn't even been touched. I wasn't sure what to make of it, so I spent an hour pondering it before I went to sleep. Apparently, I am not safe there either because I had a stimulating dream. I dreamt that my assistant at the museum called me into her office to explain a curious issue with her computer. From the safety of the other side of the desk, I had her walk me through it. She told me that every bookmark in her web browser led to the same website, and when I looked what the website was, it was Scare.me. Then she showed me her phone. Before I could peel my eyes away, I saw every contact in her list was identical. Scare.me. I remember waking in a cold sweat, the sheets soaked through, and thinking about just how cold I was at that moment. I walked over to the thermostat, fancy digital touchscreen one, but instead of the temperature, the display showed Scare.me. I panicked, David. My heart became a timpani drum in my throat. My stomach twisted in knots, and I screamed until my lungs gave out, not bothering to care if the neighbors heard or the cops were called to investigate. I didn't care anymore, and that's when I woke up. I had been dreaming, and inside that dream, I had a nightmare, only to wake up in a nightmare again. Have you ever had a dream like that? So real, so vivid, you mistake it for reality? It scared the bejesus out of me, let me tell you. This time, when I awoke, though, there was no sweat, and the thermostat was functioning normally. I disconnected it shortly after. No way I can take it playing tricks on me again. I'll get hot for a bit until I can buy a fan, but I'll survive. That morning I called in from work. I just didn't feel right. Not okay. Something stuck with me, like a leech attached to my aura that was just sucking my energy and focus. I haven't eaten much since that day, but it's only been a few. Whatever I brought with me out of that dream world wants something from me, and it's injecting a poison into my skin to get me to do what it wants. It wants me to go back to scared.me. And the poison is that feeling. I have to go back to it, too. I'm hanging in there, though. David, I'm trying to fill my time with other things, like that book you recommended. I also found an old VCR on a rolling shelf covered in dust. I figured tapes were probably safe from whatever this was. I found The Lord of the Dance and the director's cut of Aliens with it. Light entertainment away from my books, and so far it seems safe from my waking nightmares. Seeing as though you've mentioned your wife in your letter, I'd like to share something with you about mine. My ex, when times were good, took me to the Emily Morgan Hotel for a weekend. We had a great time, carriage ride around the Alamo, bottled service in suite. But it wasn't until the day after that she explained that the floor that we had been staying on was technically the 13th. Because hotels generally don't have a 13th floor out of superstition. And it was notoriously haunted and used to be a hospital ward. I thought you might find the idea interesting. Perhaps your readers will too. Again, I hope you've been sending this on to them. I feel like I'm not really speaking to just about all this stuff, but to them too. And that makes me feel a little less alone. Good day, David, and God bless. Michael. Well, I'm not gonna ruin this for anybody else at any point, but that will probably that's the last scare mail that I'm probably gonna read. If you want to continue the story, subscribe, get the letters. It's well worth the read and well worth the time. But I'm not going to ruin it for anybody else. So, if you wanted to hear more, you're going to have to subscribe to it yourself. But, let's go hit another commercial break. Well, that's it for me. I hope you enjoyed the podcast today. Like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you again next week. You stay creepy like Kimiko Kusanagi, okay? Bye!
That's my style. Creepy crawlers, Kimiko's vibe. We laugh at the dark, find joy in the fears, in a world full